have the contact, but
To sit down.
I have the contact.
Who Mr. President, the chamber is ready. Distinguished colleagues, will you please look through and examine the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, the 4th day of November, 2025, and confirm the entries as true reflection of the proceedings. Page 859, page 860, 861, 862, 863, 864, 865, 866, 867, 868, 869, 870. Distinguished Dr. Honorable Titus Zam, former chairman of local government, former this, former that, and now senator. Can you please move for the adoption of the votes and proceedings of yesterday?
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dr. Titus Zam. I represent Plenary Northwest Senatorial District, and I rise to move that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 14th November 2025 be adopted. I so move, Mr. Senate President. Thank you.
Senator Akabondu, can you please second the motion?
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name remains Senator Austin Akobundu, representing the good people of Abia Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion for the adoption of votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 4th November 2025, ably moved by distinguished Senator Zam. Second.
Okay, those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of yesterday is hereby adopted. Announcement. I wish to acknowledge the presence of members of the Law Students Association of Nigeria who are here in our gallery to observe our proceedings of today. You are most welcome, and we wish you fruitful observation of the Senate proceedings. You may wish to sit down. I also wish to acknowledge the staff of Double King Estate Limited, Garki, Abuja, who are here in our gallery to observe our proceedings of today. I wish you a fruitful observation of our proceedings. You are most welcome. You may wish to sit down. Announcement from Senator Ipisigba. EP Olaide Emmanuel, Senator EP Sagba Olaide Emmanuel, Chairman Senate Committee on Public Procurement, Vice Chairman Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream. Your Excellency, the Senate President, Senator Goswill Obod Akpabio, the President of the Senate, National Assembly Complex, Abuja. Notification of my doctorate degree and conferment of traditional title as the Are Bobagungwa of Inyi Ekiti. It is with great pleasure I write to inform these great chambers of my recent dual accomplishment in academic and community engagement. After rigorous academic assertion, I earned a Doctor of Philosophy PhD in Business Administration from the prestigious National State University, Kefi. Similarly, over the weekend, I was among a few distinguished senators bestowed with traditional titles by the good people of Inyi Ekiti. My wife and I were conferred with the chieftaincy titles of the Are. Babagungwa Ayeye Are Bubagungwa Ayeye Bogungwa by the revered monarch, the Oloyi of Inyi Ekiti. I wish to especially appreciate the support of the leadership of these hallowed chambers, exemplified by the leader of the Senate, distinguished Senator Dr. Bamidele Opeyemi CON. Yours sincerely, Senator Jide Ipi Sagba, PhD. Any petition? No petition. Senator Sani Bello Abubakar, you raise your hand. We can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I stand on orders 41 and 51. My name, Abubakar Sani Bello, representing Niger North.
You may proceed to say what you want to say because we are all familiar.
Yes,
I assume we
Mr.
are all
President.
familiar with those two orders, 41 and 51.
Yes.
So you can continue.
Mr. President, I'm here to inform the chambers of the demise of one of our distinguished senators, Senator Ibrahim Musa Kwantogora.
Yes, distinguished Senator Sani Bello approached me this morning to announce that I should be given the opportunity to table before this hallowed chamber the demise of one of our former colleagues, who he had just mentioned his name, that died some times ago. That in line with that tradition, he wants to bring a motion to eulogize our dead colleague, which is in line with our tradition here. Is it the wish of the Senate that we're allowed to take the motion? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, my most distinguished colleagues. The demise of distinguished Senator Ibrahim Musa Kwantogora. The Senate notes with deep sorrow the passing of distinguished Senator Ibrahim Musa Kwantogora, former senator representing Niger North District of Niger State, who passed on Thursday, the 7th of August, 2025 in Abuja after a brief illness at the age of 63. The Senate also notes that Senator Ibrahim Musa, a seasoned lawyer of over 17 years, standing at the bar before venturing into politics, was elected into the Senate on the platform of the Congress for Progressive Change (CPC) in April 2011, where he diligently served the people of Niger North Senatorial District between 2011 and 2015. The Senate recalls that during his tenure in the Senate, he was an active voice on national issues, stood firmly for the cause of his constituents, and demonstrated courage and resilience in the face of political challenges, thereby earning the respect of colleagues and Nigerians alike. The Senate observes that beyond politics, Senator Ibrahim Musa was known as a patriotic statesman, bridge builder, and a steadfast loyalist of democratic ideals, whose contributions to nation building will be remembered for years to come. And observes and acknowledges that his death is a great loss to his family, the Senate, the people of his entire district, and the Niger State government. He is survived by a wife and 4 children. Accordingly, he resolves to 1. Observe a minute's silence in his honor. 2. Send a delegation to condole with his immediate family, the government and people of Niger State. And finally, urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming a federal institution or public facility in Niger State after him, in recognition of his service and sacrifice to the nation. I so move.
Senator Titus Am.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Titus Tengezam. I represent Benue Northwest Senatorial District. I rise to express my condolences to the good people of Niger State over the sad loss of this distinguished son of the state. More so that the distinguished Senator Ibrahim Musa had a stint in the National Assembly, and from available records as enunciated by my distinguished colleague Senator Bello, it is clear that he left indelible marks on the sand of time, both in the Senate and in his immediate constituency. I therefore support all the prayers that are contained in this motion and express my deep condolences to the immediate family and to the entire Niger State. I so move, Mr. Senate President. Thank you.
The acting Senate Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I stand to condole with people of Niger State, and in particular, the Northern Senatorial District of Niger State. Distinguished Senator Sonny died at the age of 63. It might look a young age to die, but we must all remember that definitely we all owe death. However long we might live, the important thing is what you left behind. Our deputy senator left a very good character, very good contribution, and remarkable achievement. These are the only thing you take to heaven. You can't take property to heaven. You can't take money to heaven. You cannot even take your family to heaven. A good character, good conduct, and these are the things he left behind. I pray that Almighty God will repose him in Al-Jannah Fidal. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Sanhaga, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I would like to also send my condolences to the people of Niger North and Niger State in general. I knew Senator Muhammad when I was the national chairman of the CPC. I can remember he came to me when they were trying and tussling for contesting under the party to come to the Senate. He was a very gentleman, a very outspoken man, and I think a very, very nice man. I met him last year on one occasion. I really feel they are so bad about his death. My prayers to him, his family, and the Niger State in general. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Rufai Satangar, the Deputy Minority Whip, for your contribution. We now go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Observe a minute of silence in his honor. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Send a delegation to condole with his immediate family, the government, and people of Niger State. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Urge the federal government to immortalize him by naming a federal institution or public facility in Niger State after him in recognition of his service and sacrifice to the nation. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Can we stand to observe a minute silence as agreed? May the soul of our late colleague, Senator Ibrahim Musa Kwantagora, rest in perfect peace. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is presentation of a House bill standing in the name of Leader of the Senate on the Institute of Health Service Administrators of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025, HB 935. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Institute of Health Services Administrators of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025, HB 935, first reading.
Institute of Health Service Administration of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025, HB 935, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Barau Jubre on Child Parents Care Protection and Education Bill 2025, SB 943. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Child Parents Care Protection and Education Bill 2025, SB 943, first reading.
Child, Parents, Care Protection and Education Bill 2025, SB 943, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Abubakar Abdul Aziz Yari on National Agency for Regulation of Purchase and Distribution of Agricultural Inputs, Establishment Bill 2025, SB 929. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Agency for the Regulation of Purchase and Distribution of Agricultural Inputs, Establishment Bill 2025, SB 929, first reading.
National Agency for Regulation Purchase and Distribution of Agricultural Inputs Establishment Bill 2025. SB 929, first reading taken. The Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Osita Ungu on Social Enterprises Bill 2025 SB 939. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Social Enterprises Bill 2025 SB 939, first reading.
Social Enterprises Bill 2025 SB 939, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Suleiman Umar Sadiq on the Food, Drugs, and Related Products Regulation Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 941. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Food, Drugs, and Related Products Regulation Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 941, first reading.
Food, Drug, and Related Products Regulation Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 941, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Akitido Yunus Abiodun on matrimonial causes Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 944. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Matrimonial Causes Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 944, first reading.
Matrimonial Causes Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 944, first reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Electric Vehicles Transition and Green Mobility Bill 2025 SB 856. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 1st July 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Kalu Oji Uzo to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
I now yield the floor to the former Governor of Abia State, two-term Governor of Abia State, and Chief Whip Emeritus to present his motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity. My name is Oji Ozokalo. I represent Abia North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for the transition to electric vehicles and green mobility in Nigeria and for related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to create a comprehensive
Chief Whip, you have not moved. Move first.
That will guide Nigerians.
Chief Whip, Emeritus, sorry. Chief Whip Emeritus, you've not moved the motion. Move the motion. There may not be a seconder, but you need to move the motion before you start. You move the motion.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for the transition of electric vehicles and green mobility in Nigeria for related matters. I so move, Mr. President.
His former colleague also,
Mr. President,
his former colleague, the two-term governor of Sokoto State, and Sekin Yakinyama of Sokoto. So, he's seconding the motion.
Mr. President, Aliu Emwa my names, Sokoto North. I stand to second the motion moved by Senator Odo Kalu. I do second, Mr. President. Thank you.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You can continue. You will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to provide for transition to electric vehicles and green mobility in Nigeria and for related matters. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to create a comprehensive legal and institutional framework that will guide Nigerians' gradual transition from dependence on fossil fuel-powered vehicles to clean, energy efficient and environmental friendly electric vehicles, in line with global best practice and our national commitment under various international environmental agreements. Background and rationale. Nigeria today faces a twin challenge: environmental degradation and energy dependency. Our transport sector remains one of the largest contributors of carbon emissions, responsible for about 20 to 30% of total greenhouse gas output. With over 12 million registered vehicles in Nigeria, almost all powered by petrol or diesel, we are confronted with a pressing need to rethink on our mobility strategy. Distinguished colleagues, while advanced nations are making sufficient progress in electrifying their transport systems, with countries like Norway targeting full electric mobility by 2030, and even major African countries such as South Africa and Kenya adopting national EV policies, Nigeria risks being behind if do not act decisively. This bill therefore seeks to position Nigeria to benefit from the global shift towards green mobility and encouraging investment, innovation, and industrial growth in the electric vehicle sector. Objectives of this bill, Mr. President. The key objective of this electric vehicle transition and mobility bill are: 1, promote the gradual transition from fossil fuel-powered vehicles to electric and hybrid vehicles. Establish a national electric vehicle development and promotion council to coordinate, regulate, and drive policy implementation across all tiers of government. Encourage all manufacturers and assemble electrical vehicles, batteries, components through fiscal incentives and public-private partnerships. Develop charging infrastructure nationwide to support electric vehicle adoption. Phase in public transportation electrification and beginning with federal, state, and local government fleets, and gradually extend to commercial transport operators. Justification, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is not just an environmental sustainability. It is about economic transformation and energy dependency. Independent. Economic opportunities. The global electric vehicle industry is projected to exceed $1.5 trillion by 2030. Nigeria, with its population and mineral resources such as lithium, nickel, stand to benefit immensely from local EV manufacturing and battery production. Job creation. The transition will open new frontiers in manufacturing of renewable energy, ICT integration, and technical education, creating thousands of jobs for Nigerian youth. Energy security. With unstable oil prices and growing subsidy burdens, Nigeria can reduce reliance on imported refined petroleum products by encouraging electric mobility powered by local generated electricity, particularly from renewable sources, health and environmental benefits. Reduced emission means clear air, fewer respiratory illness, and improved quality of life of our citizens. In conclusion, Mr. President and dear colleagues, this bill is both visionary and timely. It aligns with the federal government drive towards industrial diversification, environmental sustainability, and innovation-led growth. By passing this bill, we will be taking a bold step towards modernizing our transport sector and positioning Nigeria as a leader in Africa's green mobility revolution. I therefore urge my colleagues and all and sundry to support this bill and to support this bill for the second reading and commit it to relevant committees for further investigation action. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Distinguished Senator, His Excellency Alero.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Muhammad Adamu Alero, representing Kebbi Central. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion, so the bill sponsored by my very good friend and brother, Senator Oji Uzokalu. Mr. President, let me commend him for sponsoring this bill. It is very timely and apt because globally the world is moving towards electric vehicles and Nigeria should not be left behind. As stated in the lead presentation, countries like Kenya and South Africa, they are taking the lead in Africa, and we should be not left behind. Mr. President, environmentally, this bill will help Nigeria. Cities like Kano and Lagos are suffering a lot from the emission, carbon emission. And if we adopt electric vehicles, it will significantly reduce carbon emissions and our environment will become very, very healthy. And another advantage is that instead of exporting lithium, which is one of the main raw materials that is used for making electric vehicles, we will be utilizing it here. We will create jobs. It will lead to employment generation. It will lead also to industrial diversification, as stated in the lead paper. So this is a very good bill, and I urge all my colleagues to support it because of its enormous use to Nigeria. Thank you.
Senator Ositango.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Ositango in the Senate on behalf of the great people of Enugu West. Mr. President, I want to commend my senior, Senator Ojikalu, for bringing up this timely and very important bill. The impact of gas emission on climate change and global warming is something that we can't overemphasize. We all know how flooding has become a major issue in this country, and these are all coming out of the impact of climate change. Nigeria is a country of more than 250 million people. We are significant in the fight against climate change. Nigeria can equal more than 10 to 15 other countries in Africa in terms of the gas that we emit in our daily activities, either the generators or the vehicles we use. We have millions of vehicles in Nigeria. And if this bill is passed, Mr. President, I am going to assure you that the impact of climate change will be completely impacted over time. Nigeria, as a country with our population, plays a major role. So I'm supporting the bill wholeheartedly, and I encourage my colleagues to all lend their voices for this bill to be passed. I thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Zam.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dr. Titus Zam. I represent the dynamic people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. President, I also rise to add my voice in support of this bill, ably moved by distinguished Senator Uzo Kalu. And in doing so, I am struck by this line on his motion. Nigeria today faces a twin challenge of environmental degradation and energy dependency. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigerians are never quick in adapting to new innovations. For some of us that have the privilege of driving vehicles over a long period of time, when the automatic gear system was introduced, Nigerians were very hesitant. They were used to the floor gear system. And many countries moved fast. We only came in afterwards, after it became eminent and clear that the automatic gear system was more durable, faster. Today, many countries have adopted the energy-propelled vehicles. We are still lagging behind. When we pride ourselves as a giant of Africa, and it's not reflected in our own advancement in technology and other areas, it means we are not doing enough. So this is a very, very crucial bill, and it speaks to the lot of challenges that our petrol-propelled vehicles create even to our health system. So I support in totality that this bill be passed and to move to the third stage, and then we pass it into law for the benefit of Nigerians and other sectors of the economy. Thank you very much, Mr. Senate President.
Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill being read a second time? No. Those in support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish a comprehensive framework for the transition of electronic vehicles in Nigeria, promote local manufacturing, ensure environmental sustainability, and drive economic growth, and for related matters 2025 SB 856, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish a comprehensive framework for the transition to electric vehicles in Nigeria, promote local manufacturing, ensure environmental sustainability, and drive economic growth, and for related matters 2025. Second reading taken. This bill is now committed to the Committee on Industries to report back to the Senate in 4 weeks. Let me thank distinguished Senator Ojuso Kalu for thinking ahead. And of course, in addition to the transition from fossil fuel, he's also looking at creating a lot of employment opportunities and also encouraging vehicle manufacturing for those who are already in. Like, I don't know whether Innocent Motors, Dubois is looking at me, and others are already looking at electric vehicles and all. So this is a very good innovation. We look forward to its implementation, and then we look forward to the committee returning this to us in due time. Thank you for all your contributions. Distinguished colleagues,
Maybe after 1 hour, we will have a closed session for very important discussions. And good or bad, the discussion must be heard. And it's important that all members avail themselves of the information. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is second reading of the National Center for Information and Communication Technology, Nkanu West, Enugu State. Establishment Bill 2025 SB 643. The single senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 20th November 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Chukwu Chizoba Kelvin to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Kelvin. Chukwu.
Thank you, Mr. President. The most distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Kelvin Chukwu, representing the good people of Enugu East. I rise to move the motions on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information and Communication Technology. I so move.
Mr. Conman.
Yes, Senator Ndubeze.
Mr. President, my name is Engineer Patrick C. Ndubeze, representing Imo North Senatorial District. I rise to support this bill as the motion as moved by Senator Kelvin Chukwu, that the bill for an act to establish National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Nkanu, Enugu State, be read the second time. I so move and support. I so support.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been seconded. Those in support say aye. Aye. Those against say there. The ayes have it. So, distinguished Senator, go ahead. And then the synopsis.
I lead a debate on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information Communication Technology in Nkanu, Enugu State, and for related matters 2025. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to lead the debate on a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information Communication Technology in Nkanu, Enugu State. The bill read the first time in the Hello Chamber on Wednesday, 20th November 2024. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, information and communication technology has become the backbone of modern economic and key driver of national development, innovation and global competitiveness. From governance to education, from health to commerce, ICT has revolutionized the way societies function and many nations compete in the digital age. Nigeria, with its vast population and youthful demography, stand at its threshold of an unprecedented opportunity to harness the digital economy for sustainable growth. Yet, the full potential of ICT remains underutilized due to inadequate infrastructure, limited access to training, and uneven distribution of capacity development centers across the country. The National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Kano seeks to fill this critical gap by serving as a hub for ICT education, innovation, research, and digital entrepreneurship, particularly for youth and professionals in the Southeast and across Nigeria. The principal objectives of this bill are to establish a world-class ICT training, research, and development institution in Kano, Enugu State, to build a capacity of Nigerian youths and professionals in software development, artificial intelligence, cyber security, data analysis, robotics, and other emerging technology. To foster digital innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup incubation to promote job creation and economic diversification. To support digital literacy and inclusion across communities, especially among women, persons with disability, and rural population. To collaborate with public and private institutions, both local and internationally, to advance Nigeria's digital transformation agenda. And finally, to serve as a national resource center for ICT policy research, e-governance, and digital infrastructure development. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is not merely about establishing another institution. It is about strategically investing in Nigeria's digital future through bridging the digital divide. The center, when established, will address regional imbalance in access to ICT facilities and training, bringing opportunity to undeserved areas in the Southeast and beyond. It will also provide job opportunity for over 60% of Nigerian population under the age of 30, providing technical and entrepreneurship skills that prepare our youth for global competitiveness. The global ICT sector contributes 50% of GDP in developed economies, while that of Nigeria is currently below 10. This can be significantly improved through the establishment of targeted investments like this center, which also align with Nigeria's National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy 2020 to 2030 and Vision 2050. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, Nkanu in Enugu State provides a strategic location for this institution. Enugu has been a long center of education, innovation, and intellectual growth in the Southeast. The availability of academic institutions, skilled manpower, and peaceful environment makes Enugu ideal for hosting a national ICT hub that will serve not only the region but the entire nation. The establishment of National Center for Information, Communication and Technology will mark a major step in Nigeria's march towards
a knowledge-based economy. It will nurture digital talent, promote innovations, and strengthen our capacity to compete in the global technology ecosystem. In line with Order 76.3 of the Senate Standing Order 2023, as amended, a compendium of financial implication of the establishment of this college is hereby attached. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support this bill for second reading and commit it to appropriate committee for further legislative action. Mr. President, I so move.
Distinguished Senator Adams Oshomole.
Were you governor before? And we may not plan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Adams Aliu Oshomole, representing the very creative and industrious people of Edo State. Edo North, in Edo State. Mr. President, I rise to support that this bill should pass second reading. All the arguments have been very well articulated by the sponsor of the bill. The point needs to be made that regardless of location of any institution, as the headline rightly captured, it will be a national center that will make it possible for every Nigerian, regardless of place of birth or location, to take advantage of this facility. In that way, we help to build unity among our young people. We can't overemphasize the fact that the world has gone digital. And right now, nation states are investing more and more in artificial intelligence and other sophisticated ICT-driven information system. Even for the optics alone, I believe it is right to create this institution and even to locate it where it is proposed. Because the challenge of halting urban-rural movement obliges us to think beyond capital cities and locate institutions even in rural areas. That is the way to ensure even development and encourage the young ones to understand the lives of people who live in those localities. That way, beyond the party knowledge, we are also promoting integration in the minds of very, very many young Nigerians. I think we can go on and on and on. I just conclude by saying, Mr. President, there can be no doubt whatsoever in my mind that this will be the national interest. It will remind our young ones we are shifting focus for people doing mass comm in the old-fashioned way, political science and so on. Apologies to Zam and Co. I think the world is going digital, and this is in line with the direction. It's not about the brain, not the brawn. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the privilege to speak on this.
Distinguished Senator Dike Blank.
The President of the Senate, our leader, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dike Blank. I represent Plateau Central. I rise scientifically, morally, and physically to support this bill for the establishment of a National Center for Information and Communication Technology, and desires that if by the grace of God the bill succeeds and is established for the Southeast, I feel that this desire should have even extended to all the geopolitical zones of this country. I am supporting this bill in its totality because ICT facilitates communication. It gives access to information. It enables remote network and learning, and it simplifies automation.
Now, at this digital period that we are, and particularly with the new thinking of this government that has a lot to think of how our economy can be driven digitally, the need for an ICT centers in our entire country cannot be compromised. I remember, sir, we went for a naval committee on oversight in one part of Uyo, and there was no network. Only, there was no MTN. And it becomes very difficult for me to communicate. I need to sit closer to somebody for hotspot connection. Our system, Nigeria needs to, the network of our country needs to be sustained and needs to be trusted. So even entering this building, it will be very unfair that we are in a very complex building like this and there is no Wi-Fi for you, Wi-Fi for you to use. I think that this bill will further conscientize us on it to ensure that connectivity in our entire country is done. And for the importance of ICT and where we are now, I believe that this bill is very timely and is a needed bill, and that all of us will support this bill and even think beyond having it in Northeast, that it should be done in all the geopolitical zone. I thank you for the opportunity to contribute, and I believe that we will support this bill for the betterment of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. Dismissed Senator Ositangu.
Thank you, Mr. President, for another opportunity to contribute. Ositangu, I represent Enugu West. Mr. President, I'll come from an angle of unemployment of our youths. The population of our youths is gradually increasing, and if we must empower the youths and reduce crime in our society, we must look at a way that can give youths opportunity to be entrepreneurs by themselves instead of depending on government to give them jobs. ICT is one path that we can reach that milestone in a very quick way. I am supporting this bill in its entirety, especially because of the impact this is going to give to the youths. We have very industrious, intelligent, and hardworking youths in Nigeria. However, opportunities are limited for them to express themselves. I know that if this ICT center is established, it is going to give them opportunity to have facilities that they can utilize to be able to develop themselves, to be important to the society. I'm also supporting this bill. I'm from Enugu State, and this is going to be in Enugu. However, even though it is not in my zone, but the location is very wonderful. It is in an area that is very close to the city and also located in a way that people from other zones can also access it. So I support the bill, and I encourage every other person to do so for it to pass the second time. I thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill going for second reading? Nobody. Those is in favor that this bill be read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Kano West, Enugu State, and for other related matters 2025 SB 643, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the National Center for Information and Communication Technology in Kano West, Enugu State, and for other related matters, 2025. Second reading taken. This bill is now committed to the Committee on ICT and Cyber Security to report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Thank you, distinguished Senator Kelvin Chukwu, for the thoughtfulness and the initiative to bring this bill, which I believe will be life-changing, not just for the entire country, but particularly for the youths of the nation, creating employment opportunities and making ICT available to all and sundry. I thank my colleagues for their contributions. I look forward to further legislative deliberations on this bill. I thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third to the 6 orders of the day are the House bills for concurrence as listed in the order paper. Mr. President, for interchamber reciprocity, I will present a single lead debate on the bills.
Yes, proceed.
I can go there. Mr. President,
Yes, okay.
I stand to present a lead debate for the concurrence from the House of Representatives, sponsored by the Senate leader, Senator Bamidele Michael Okoyemi. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on these important bills from the House of Representatives for concurrence of the Senate. Number 1, National Film and Video Regulatory Commission, Establishment Bill 2025, HB 514. This bill seeks to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act, CAP N40, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and to enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission Act 2025 for classification, sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, and exhibition of films, video works, short dramatized contents, musical videos, and video games in Nigeria. Number 2, Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2025, HB 140. This bill establishes the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria, charged among other things with responsibility of regulating the practice among the members, including qualification, training skill set of digital forensics, and determining the standard of knowledge and skill required for persons seek to become members of the institute. Number 3, Federal Medical Center Act Amendment Bill 2025 HB 1747. This bill seeks to amend the Federal Medical Center Act 2022 to provide for establishment of additional federal medical centers across the country. 4, Sexual harassment of students, Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2025 HB 1598. This bill seeks to promote and protect ethical standards in tertiary education, the sanctity of student-educator fiduciary relationship of authority, dependence, trust, and respect for human dignity in tertiary educational institutions. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, this bill is straightforward and have gone through necessary legislative process in House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of this bill as we refer them to Committee of Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Thank you, Mr. President. I so submit.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'd like to second the motion moved by the Senate.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. That is it. The leader, do you want to put more meat on the various bills? Let members discuss one after the other.
Mr. President, like I've elucidated in the motion, these bills are very straightforward and they have been adequately dealt with. National Film and Video Regulatory Commissions. The idea is to bring the bill of 2024 that is almost obsolete into focus and along the dictates of the new time. And like we rightly said, there are some of these new things that we should put into consideration, like short dramatized content, musical videos that are so germane now, and video games that are almost everywhere in Nigeria. So the idea of this bill is to bring them forth and so that it is relevant to present day need. On Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria, I think this thing has been dealt with. And we know the importance of forensic science in today's security system. Federal Medical Center is the need of every community. And the additional one, I think, for the sake of health of our population, we should quickly contain it. Sexual harassment of students in tertiary institutions has become so problematic to the extent that the standard of educations are being affected. And I think all things I've said are addressed by the 4 bills. I so submit, Mr. President.
Is there any member that has any contribution? Yes, distinguished Senator Shumule.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no fundamental, I don't have any serious objection, but just to make 1 or 2 observations. Mr. President, time and time again we have said we need to have copies of the laws we are amending. Even when they have worked on it in the House of Rep, we should have copies so we know what we are concurring with. But we are just blank. But on the 4th one, sexual harassment of students, prevention and prohibition bill, I think, Mr. President, that we can use one stone to kill all the bad birds. There is no need to limit sexual harassment issues to students. I think you should have universal application even to workplaces. So I suggest, with your permission, Mr. President, that we amend this to include sexual harassment not only in schools, in workplaces, and any other location. Because the evil is the same. And the logic of those who harass is the same. I don't think we will come back another day to make another law on sexual harassment in workplaces, another law in sexual harassment in stadium, in sports, and other things. So I think we should just craft the law in a way that we have a universal application. I think it's very important to protect our young, and not only young people, even elderly women have been sexually harassed. And men. And like we spoke last week, in these days of gay movement and all obscene kind of sexual practices that is gaining ground in some part of the world, what used to be restricted to women is now applicable to men. So even men now sexually harass other men. So our law should reflect the reality of where we are in. So I suggest that we add workplaces, in fact any other place. Sexual harassment is sexual harassment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Zam.
Mr. President, I'm Senator Titus Zam. I represent Benue Northwest. I have concerns on page 3, membership of the governing board of the Commission of National Film and Video Classification. Page 3, item B, a representative of each of the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, excluding the zone represented by chairman, who shall be a university lecturer in any federal government university in that geopolitical zone. I think this is too restrictive. It should not be restricted to university lecturer. It should be anybody with capacity within the senatorial, within the geopolitical zone, so that we don't tie the hands of the executive to one particular profession. So I suggest that we expand that proviso to read that any person who is qualified and who has interest in the film industry from within the senatorial, from the geopolitical zone, should be considered for appointment rather than limiting it to university lecturers. Thank you.
Senator Anthony Okori.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear colleagues, I am Senator Professor Anthony Ane. I represent Ebonyi South. I want to echo and possibly amplify what Senator Adams Oshomole said about sexual harassment. Before now, people think that this issue of sexual harassment is only domiciled in tertiary institutions. It is everywhere. I say it again, it is everywhere. So we have to come up with a law that's very encompassing, that takes care of sexual harassment in its entirety. This narrow approach or perception that it is only in tertiary institutions is a misnomer. It is only when you find yourself in the environment of tertiary institutions before you know that it is not as people think. And this sexual harassment goes both ways. Man harassing a woman harassing a man, in that order. So my own proposition is that the law should be made in such a way that this sexual harassment covers all aspects of our engagement as human beings.
Thank you, distinguished Senator Professor Anthony Ane Okore. Having debated on these bills, normally we don't even go into much debate because there are bills that have been brought for concurrence, but that has been done. So those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act Cap N40, Law of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission 2025 for classification of films, video works, support democratize contents, musical video, video games, and for regulation of their sales, retail distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters 2025 HB 514. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensic among its members, and to determine the standard of knowledge and skill to be attained by persons skilling to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025 HB 14. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HB 1747. Second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to prevent, prohibition, and address sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for related matters 2025 HB 1598. Second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act, Cap N40, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission 2025 for classification of films, video works, short dramatized content, musical video, video games, and for the regulation of their sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters 2025 HB for second reading taken. B. A bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to enable to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensics among its members, and to determine the standards of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025 HB 140 second reading taken. C. A bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, and redress sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for related matters 2025 HB 1598 second reading taken. D. A bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HB 1747 second reading taken. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleague, motions to Order 78 sub 3. I move that the bill be now referred to Committee of the Whole for consideration.
The Minority Leader, could you please second the motion?
Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, I hereby second the motion as moved by the Senate Leader. As a second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those in favor of the motion moved by the leader for... Okay, those against say nay. The ayes have it. National Film and Video Regulatory Commission Establishment Bill 2025 HB 470. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 20 stand pass of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. Those in favor that clauses 20, 21 up to 30 and 30 to 40 stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Those in favor that clauses 40 to 50 to 60 stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. Those in favor, you say, Adam Oshomole, yeah.
Try to follow you, sir. Which one are we discussing? Because before 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before I could put my glasses, it's gone.
It is assumed that
some of us are a bit slow.
If you have any, it's up to you there. If you have anything you can say. If you have any reservation anywhere.
For all of the 4 bills.
No, we are okay. I read it. I said no National Film and Video Regulatory Commission. I read it before I started.
Thank you, sir. My own is on sexual harassment.
Okay. We have not gotten there yet. I'll let you know when we get there. Clause 60, 61, 62, up to 78, up to 76. Those in favor that those clauses stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum and the long title all stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We now go to the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23, all stand pass of the bill. Say aye. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 23, 24 up to 31 all stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 31 stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title on page 1 stand pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. A bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 to provide a legal framework for the establishment of federal medical centers across the country and for related matters 2025, HB 1747. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, clauses 1, 2, and 3 all start part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 1 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the long title stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Adam Oshomole, now we are on where you have interest to amend. I will come there. I just want to remind you, I want to alert you. So we are there now. Sexual harassment of students, prevention and prohibition bill 2025 HB 1598. I now start with clause 1, 2, clause 2. Senator Adam Oshomole.
Mr. President, sir, on clause 1, subsection 1, the bill here suggests or provide for protection of students against sexual harassment by educators in tertiary educational institutions. I have a couple of problems with this. First is that we are assuming that there is no such harassment.
Senator Adam Oshomole, what you need to do, just go straight to your amendment and then somebody will second and then we'll go.
Okay.
Just count your amendment, read it, and then somebody will now second and then we'll move ahead.
This bill is enacted to promote and protect ethical standards in educational institution. We remove the word tertiary. And the reason being that there are cases of children or students in secondary schools or even primary schools who might have been.
So now you have you need to have stopped where you said in educational institution, right? Instead of tertiary.
Yeah, educational institutions instead of tertiary.
Okay, now that is your amendment.
No, there are additional amendments.
Okay, why not just couch it and then you read and then somebody will second and then we'll move.
If you allow me to finish, I have a very powerful writer here. You can write it.
You know,
because we are supposed to persuade each other about the merit of the amendment.
You know, I'm telling you how it is done. Just take note so that by next time you can just do it. You just couch what you want and then just read it and move a motion and then somebody will second it and we move ahead. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay. So I'll give you 1 minute. Couch it.
I'm left-handed, sir. 1 minute.
Okay, 2 minutes.
We've done it, sir.
Allow you.
This is a bill.
This is a bill
Enact to promote
and protect
ethical standards.
Ethical standards.
The sanity of
and the sanity of sanity of persons in relationships, authority, dependence, and trust, and respect for human dignity in Nigeria.
Okay, now you've heard about his amendment. Who wants to second? Senator Anthony Okori. And if you can do me, if you could do us a favor, can you? I'm not trying to. Can you read what you amend? You are seconding. Well, if you cannot, if you cannot, wait. Don't worry. Move your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, I'm Senator Professor Anthony. I represent Ebonyi South. I rise to second the motion as ably moved, the amendment as ably recommended by Senator Adams Oshimole. I say second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So you now, Secretariat, please take note. You can bring your something to the Secretariat. Okay. Clauses 2, 3, 4.
Sir.
Okay. Clause what?
Clause 2. Consistent with the amendment on 1, it should read the word educator should be deleted to be replaced with the word person.
If I'm not mistaken, Senator Anthony Shomole,
sir,
you see, you don't want tertiary institution to be mentioned. You want like educational institution to be mentioned, right?
I just feel that it should not be restricted to educational institutions.
Okay.
Because
now
last
your motion,
just for your information, sir, last year, even in the Federal Civil Service, a PAMSEC reported that she was being harassed by a minister.
Thank you very much. You know what I'm trying to say is
this. So that is why harassment should not be limited or confined to...
Yes, sir. You know, when you have this kind of amendment, before we come there, just couch your amendment and move a motion straight away. Anyway, now, okay, what you are trying to... Okay, now, your motion, you'll have said mutatis mutandis, so that wherever you have all those things, they will be changed in the bill, right?
I'm guided. So
you'll have said
mutatis mutandis.
Okay.
Wherever we have the word educator, it should be
not educator. Tertiary education should be educational.
Tertiary institution should be replaced by
educational institution.
Educational institution and any other place.
Now, who wants to second this motion?
And any other place.
Seconder. No, you're taking what you say is correct. Instead of restricting to tertiary institution, let's make it educational institution, right?
Mr. President.
And what? Senator Anthony.
I'm trying to say that it should not be restricted to educational institution. But if you must use educational institution, it should be educational institution and any other place. And
you see, let me tell you, wait, the title has to be amended as well. Because the title is talking about tertiary educational institution. So I think there should be an amendment. Who wants to amend? Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. Personally, I want us to start the amendment with the title. And if we amend from the title, it will guide us.
Just move your motion.
I am saying a bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, redress sexual harassment in our society and for related matters 2025.
But this bill is restricted to our educational system.
So it happens in our workplaces. It happens domestically.
There are laws that deal with that. There are laws, even these are laws that deal with. I mean, if you even go further, there's no need for this legislation because there are laws that penalize someone who goes in to harass anybody anywhere. Then at the airports, at the car park, and everywhere.
Okay.
But this one is a kind of I don't know.
Okay. now take it as educational institutions.
Okay.
And continue
Now
like that.
a seconder. And say mutatis mutandis.
Yes, mutatis mutandis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seconder.
It has to be like that.
Senator Adams Oshomole. Those in favor that this amendment should be effected mutatis mutandis, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Those in favor that they all should be passed of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title on page 10 should stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that is plenary memorandum as well on page 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that long title as amended stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, I stand to request Mr. President to report progress in plenary.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, the esteemed colleagues, I rise to call the motion.
Say nay. The ayes have it. Report. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission Establishment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses, clause 1 to 74 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 75 as recommended. Short title, clause 76 as recommended. Schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Report B. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 21 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 22 as recommended. Short title, clause 23 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 4 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Report C. The Senate and the Committee of the Whole consider the Federal Centers Act Amendment Bill 2025 and approve as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 2 as recommended. Short title clause 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. It is a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. The Senate The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the sexual harassment of students, Preventions and Prohibition Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses. Clauses 1 to 2 as recommended, as amended. Clauses 3 to 13 as amended, as recommended. Interpretation, clause 14 as recommended. Short titles as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as amended. Long title as amended. This is true reflection. This is a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion that this bill be now read the third time.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, this motion as moved by Senate Leader. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act Cap N40 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission 2025 for classification of films, video works, short democratized contents, musical video, video games, and for the regulation of their sales, retail distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters 2025 HB 514, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensic of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensic among its members, and to determine the standard of knowledge and skill to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025 HB 140, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HB 1747, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to prohibit and redress sexual harassment of students in tertiary educational institutions and for related matters 2025 HB 1598, third reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Film and Video Censors Board Act Cap number 40, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the National Film and Video Regulatory Commission 2025 for classification of films, video works, short dramatized contents, musical video, video games, and for the regulation of their sales, rentals, distribution, online distribution, exhibition, and for related matters 2025 HB 514, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Digital Forensics of Nigeria to regulate the practice, including qualification, training, skill set of digital forensics among its members, and to determine the standards of knowledge and skills to be attained by persons seeking to become registered members of the profession, and for related matters 2025 HB 140, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to prevent, prohibit, and redress sexual harassment of students in our educational institutions, and for related matters 2025 HB 1598, third reading taken and passed. A bill for an act to amend the Federal Medical Centers Act 2022 and for related matters 2025 HB 1747, third reading taken and passed. The Leader of the Senate. Anyway, I thank on behalf of the Senate all distinguished senators that contributed and work on the passage of these bills, because they are bills for concurrence from the House of Reps. We are done our part, and we'll continue to reciprocate the chamber, reciprocate, what is always extended to us by the House of Representatives in terms of our legislation, or what we do here to enact bills, enact acts for the development of our country. Thank you very much for your contributions. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate President, the seventh order of the day is presentation and consideration of interim reports of ad hoc committee on the incessant and the various acts of crude oil theft in Niger Delta and its actors. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Ned Munir Nwoko, Chairman of Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report.
Senator Ned Munir Nwoko, the floor is either to you.
Thank you, Delta State. Mr. President, I arise to move that the Senate do receive and consider the interim report of the ad hoc committee on the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta area. I so move.
Senator Onao Mohammed Ogoshi, can you second the motion?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Mohammed Ogoshi Onao. I stand to second the motion so moved by my friend and brother Ned Nwoko. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. You may proceed, Senator Ned Nwoko. No, you need to present the report first.
I need to lay the report on the table.
You need to lay the report first.
Mr. President and my colleagues, this is an interim report of the ad hoc committee on crude oil theft on the investigation of the incessant and nefarious acts of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta and its actors. Mr. President, this is actually a voluminous report running into several pages, almost 40 pages. So I am proposing to simply go to the recommendations. I know how brisk you are. I know that normally you don't waste time on reports. So may I seek your indulgence to go straight to the recommendations?
That's very good. You may wish to go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee, after exhaustive deliberation and review of its findings, recommended as follows. 1, that the federal government should mandate...
That's page 32, distinguished senators. Page 32. Am I right?
Yeah. Thank you. That the federal government should mandate the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, to strictly implement, enforce internationally acceptable crude oil measurement standards at all production sites and export terminals, or restore back to the Weights and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to the upstream sector and empower it to acquire and use state-of-the-art measuring equipment at all production sites and export terminals. This will promote and strengthen accurate measurements, transparency, accountability in the oil and gas industry. 2, the federal government should deploy adequate modern technology, equipment, logistics to security agencies to enable them function effectively. This may include the use of UAVs, such as quadcopters, for surveillance and integrated pipeline monitoring system to detect thefts and leaks. 3, federal government should establish a maritime trust fund for the purpose of supporting the development and maintenance of maritime infrastructure, services, and initiatives. The fund is strategic to improving maritime training, safety, security, and fostering economic growth. The federal government should set up a special court to promptly prosecute crude oil thieves and their collaborators. 5, federal government should immediately implement the Host Communities Development Trust Fund under the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, to reduce sabotage. Next, all abandoned and decommissioned wells should be completely ceded to NUPRC, who should in turn hand such wells to modular refineries to reduce sabotage and increase crude availability for local consumption. 7, the ad hoc committee should be given the mandate to track, trace, and recover all proceeds of stolen crude oil transactions, both locally and internationally, as forensic review by the consultants shows over $22 billion, $81 billion, and $200 billion remains unaccounted. Conclusion: the committee appreciates the Senate leadership and the entire Senate for the opportunity to serve in this regard. It is the sincere hope of the committee that the recommendations will be strongly implemented to serve as deterrent for future theft of the nation's crude oil and help recover crude funds, stolen crude funds. Thank you, Mr. President.
Acting Chief Whip.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I partook in this crude oil theft work that we did. It took us several weeks to do this job. And we traveled far and wide. We examined what happens, both where you produce your crude, the refineries, the way they transport them, and all the rest of them. Our report here, I thank you, Mr. President, that our chairman is very.
Were you a member of the committee? Are you a member of the committee?
Yes.
You don't allow those who are not members to contribute.
I want to explain certain things. I'm coming.
You produce the report. Allow others to.
I want to tell you why you must accept our report wholeheartedly.
No need. I said it. Any other person, please. Okay. Ningi, you crafted, you did all this. So allow those who were not part of it to comment on the report.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you very much. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. Our time, look at it, look at the findings. In view of the findings, whether or not recommendation tallies with the findings. You look at page 30, foreign recovery. It goes, analysis of document by A.G. Abonyema, a consultant to the committee, revealed a total shortfall of 81 billion US dollars between expected receipts of crude proceeds declared by the NNPC DPR in 2016 and in 2017, and receipts declared by CBI respectively. Also based on interim investigation of crude sales from 2015 to date, other investigation by the international consultant in the United Kingdom and Canada, the committee projects the discovery of 200 billion of unaccounted crude oil sales proceeds, which require further investigation and recovery. So if you add this 200 billion plus 81 billion, it means there is a gap of 281 billion. But towards the end of the recommendation of the committee, this is where my problem lies. 7, the ADO committee should be given the mandate to track, trace, and recover all proceeds of stolen crude oil transactions, both locally, internationally, as forensic review by the consultant. That is my problem. My problem is that we are a parliament. You can only track, trace, and report. Track, trace, and report. Nowhere in this constitution, no decided rules have given us a legitimate mandate to recover. So what I think we should do, the committee should know, they should give us specified losses, locations, and then report to the Senate. And then the Senate, in its conclusion, will now say, this is channel to either EFCC, ICPC, for pursuing their legitimate action. Because to recover is a very big something that is not within the purview of the parliament. All of us is, all we do is to find, you can track, yes, you can trace, but to recover, that is not our job. That is the point I'm trying to make, Mr. President. And lastly, when this ADO committee was given, even though this is an interim report, I think they should go ahead and trace and track and report.
Thank you. Former Chairman, Committee on Finance, and current Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriation. Have you seen, did you look at recommendation 6? Former Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, and fellow Institute of Chartered Accountant, ICANN, and Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations. Have you looked at recommendation, the last one? Did you see it? What's your comment on that?
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleague, Adeola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic. Mr. President, I want to also commend the committee that handled this investigation on the interim report of the ADO Committee on Crude Oil. Mr. President, this is still an interim report. A final report is not here. But from the interim report, the ADO Committee's recommendation on the fact that we should trace, track, and recover all proceeds of stolen crude oil transaction. Mr. President,
as forensic review by the consultant shows over $22 billion, $81 billion, and $200 billion. Mr. President, this fund that is mentioned in this report, if you look at it, all put together, we are talking about $300 billion. And it is expected that the consultant that handled this should come up with the detailed list of those that are involved in these kind of actions, so that we can start from there by one, looking at how they arrived at this to defraud the country to the sum of 300 billion. In terms of tracking and recovery, that is a different segment entirely. And that is why are we not go ahead and jump into conclusion on this report, because it's still interim in nature. So I will employ the committee to give us more information about this recommendation before we go ahead and agree to it. Because we need, he mentioned 300 billion. Where are we going to trace it from? Which companies that are involved? How did they come about this 300 billion? The report of the consultant is only known to the committee, it's not known to us in the Senate. So if you go ahead and give our blessing that yes, that you go ahead, how do we know who and who to go and trace? It's like empowering the committee, giving them that omnibus power to go after anybody. But they must give us the list. They must show us the list.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So
I called you because of experience.
Thank you, sir.
Also have experience on this, Chairman of Special Committee in the Senate and in the House. You see, also a fellow of ANAN. I'm also a fellow of ANAN, Chartered Accountant fellow. So here, the Senate or indeed the National Assembly doesn't have the constitutional latitude or empowered by any law of the Federation to go and collect money from anybody. Ours is to produce a report and then send it to the executive arm of government. And then the president, who is the head of the executive arm of government, may choose to use the condolences or EFCC or whatever, or the police to recover these funds. But it's not within our latitude, our legal mandate. It's not. So that's why I called him, being an experienced person, to say his mind. He's saying it clearly. So ours is to do and send to the executive arm of government. We cannot go and collect one kobo from anybody. We cannot take any money. So I think by the time we get here, I said, Ningi, you said it because you are also experienced, you know. Well, we have the Accountant General, former Accountant General of the Federation. Maybe he wants to say something about it. You have the floor, Senator Nkwambo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me, after commending the committee, sorry, I'm Senator Ibrahim Nkwambo representing Gombe North. I want to commend the committee too for a wonderful job that they have done, very thick report. And secondly, to align myself with Senator Ningi, that in view of the complexity of this oil theft, because I'm sure my colleagues, when they look deeply, they will think it's only ordinary companies. There are also small oil people who carry the oil and put it in pots and burn the oil. There are issues of oil leakages. There are issues of so many things connected with oil, which our people will tend to learn and make more detailed legislation. Thirdly, there are several reports quoting so many figures from NAITI, from Auditor General, from so many things of number of figures. But from the title of the assignment, they were supposed to report all this, and the actors. Actors is there in the title. Nefarious acts of crude oil theft in the Niger Delta, and the actors, to identify who are the actors. In this. So we need to know who are the actors. 3, 4,
we need to know well by well, rig by rig, where these losses occurred. And if they have occurred somewhere illegally, we need to know which ones are illegally burnt. And if they occur through losses or pipeline leakages, we need to know how many, from which point to which point, how many liters of crude oil was lost in that kind of category. So it's a comprehensive work that needed to be done, sir. We will accept this one, maybe chairman will accept it as an interim report while the work goes on. And like you rightly said, our work is to make recommendation. If 20 billion is missing, home or abroad or anywhere, is no responsibility of any senator or any lawmaker to go and locate and take that money. We have, by law, given that powers to certain agencies of government to carry out. I so submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I think we are well guided on this. By the time we get to that prayer, there should be an amendment, or we'll take off the prayer as a whole. Or if you think we need to amend, you people should couch what is going to be written there. Okay, you want to say something, Senator Ned? Oh, okay, Senator Baribe.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eyinaya Baribe, and I represent Abia South. I actually align myself with the last speakers and want to further state that this is an interim report. And in an interim report, you do not go ahead to seek or look at, I think what you do is that you accept the report and then you wait for the full report, giving them the advice that they have gotten from us today. I have an issue with the report, but I will let it slide until I see the full report. Thank you.
Any other? Okay, the acting chief, Atelier.
Oh, Mr. President, Senator Ashiro, I look at this figure, $300 billion. That's almost a 10-year national budget. And I look at what this amount of money can do to the development of Nigeria as a nation. What this amount of money can do to take us out of perilous poverty we are in today. And I don't want us to joke with it. Rather than that one, I want us to give encouragement to the committee, because what they're asking for, three things. They said to track. They should track. We should encourage them to track. Give them all the wherewithal to track. To trace. We should encourage them to do this. We will not have the mandate to recover. But I think the two aspects of track and trace, they should be encouraged and they should be empowered to be able to do this for the greater benefit of Nigeria as a nation.
Well, thank you very much, distinguished senators. You've done a wonderful job, committee chaired by Senator Ned Nwoko. You've heard about the comments. What you need to do is to go and recraft or continue, get all those involved, name by name, location, and so on and so forth, and then you put your report together so that we can submit that to the executive government, who will pursue those who have cheated Nigeria, and then whatever they took will now be recovered. So you go out there and then do the needful. You've done very well. We are proud of you. So continue. No, the Senator will continue. We'll conclude. He wants to chip in something himself. He may want to chip in something.
I think he was doing well. I can wait for him to finish.
Okay.
So let me join the Deputy Senate President to commend the Committee on Reparation and then the Special Ad Hoc Committee on Crude Oil Theft, headed by our brother, distinguished Senator Ned Nwoko, for this interim report. I believe it's a step in the right direction. So we will not go into the full prayers until we have the full report before us. But with what we have now, it's work in progress. So we thank you and commend you on behalf of the Senate for the efforts that you are putting. And we say continue. You are in the right track. And God will finally bless your efforts as you present us with a full and final report. Leader of the Senate, please approach the chair.
Mr. President, the eighth order of the day is presentation and consideration of the report of joint committees on earth, secondary and tertiary and agricultural production services and rural development in respect of a motion on the urgent need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unsound practices of chemical ripening of fruits by fruit sellers in Nigeria. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Dr. Banigo Ari, Chairman of Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, very the two colleagues are right to second the motion as ably moved by the Senate leader. As to second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do receive the report on the Committee on Health. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished President Senator Ipalibo Banigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, and the Agricultural Production Services and Rural Development Committee in respect of a motion on the urgent need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits via fruit sellers in Nigeria.
Distinguished Senator Ositangu.
Thank you, Mr. President Ositangu Enugu West. Mr. President, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committees of Health, Secondary and Tertiary, and Agricultural Services, Production and Rural Development on the urgent need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits by fruit sellers in Nigeria. I so second, Mr. President.
Senator Banigo has moved a report and seconded by distinguished Senator Stango. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished Senator Banigo, you may now proceed to lay the report and thereafter you will summarize. Yes, proceed with your mic.
Senate President, my distinguished colleagues, Ipalibo Banigo, representing Rivers West Senatorial District. The Senate of the Federal Republic, at its sitting on the 21st of May, debated a motion titled Urgent Need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits among fruit sellers in Nigeria, and referred it to the Joint Committees of Health and Agricultural Services, Production and Rural Development. This motion was sponsored by Senator Annie Antonio Curry and seeks to bring to the fore the worrisome, unwholesome practices. The joint committees went into an investigative hearing on Thursday, the 17th of July, and received a lot of memorandum and a lot of interactions from the general public. The motion received overwhelming support from stakeholders at the investigative hearing. Your Excellency, the Senate President, and my distinguished colleagues, it is on record that the ripening of fruits with the use of chemical causes of the use of chemicals cause a lot of hazardous risks to human health and subsequent health risks and death. This is a public health crisis, and it's not just a consumer rights issue. The practice in itself undermines food safety and threatens lives and must be halted through effective legislation, public education, and regulatory enforcement. In 2025 alone, Nigeria recorded over 14,000 cases of cholera, resulting in about 378 deaths and 119 deaths from food-related Lassa fever infections. According to the World Health Organization, Nigeria suffers over 1 million cases of foodborne illnesses annually, resulting in economic losses exceeding $3.6 billion. It is therefore apt to address this menace and nip it in the bud, especially since existing legislations such as the Criminal Code Section 243 to 245 criminalizes food, meat, and water adulteration. In our findings, it was obvious that there is a rise in dangerous and fraudulent forced ripenings of fruits with raw calcium carbide. That dangerous and fraudulent food handling practices were taking place, such as cooking meats with paracetamol, preserving grains with sniper, diclovos, chemicals, washing of fruits and vegetables with detergents to enhance their appearance, soaking of cassava in detergent or hypo solution, adding banned Sudan 4 dyes in palm oil and red pepper, and use of burning of tires to remove animal furs from their skins, amongst others. And that morpholine was being used as waxing agent for fruits and vegetables, and this is on the EU's banned list of chemicals. And that these practices are linked to severe public health threats, such as cancer, kidney and liver diseases, and foodborne illnesses, including cholera and Lassa fever. The committee therefore recommends as follows: that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, as well as the Nigeria Council of Food Science and Technology, should increase the level of awareness by continuous sensitization and massive public enlightenment on the hazardous implications of chemical ripening of fruits. And that the Senate, through its relevant committees, should amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of these harmful chemicals, as against natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. And that the existing regulatory agencies mandated to undertake food safety and controls should ensure enforcement through legal and regulatory means. Your Excellency, Mr. President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues, the committee greatly appreciates the President of the Senate, the Deputy President of the Senate, and the entire Senate leadership, and all our distinguished colleagues for the opportunity given to us to serve in this capacity. I hereby submit. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Is there any contribution? Yes, distinguished Senator Babangida.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, sitting as chair, distinguished colleagues. I'm Babangida Hussaini, Senator representing Jigawa Northwest. I rise to commend the conciseness of the report and to commend the committee for a very good job. In the same vein, Mr. President, I want to also recommend in paragraph 1, recommendations 50 paragraph 1. In the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investments, there is a department, CPI, Commodities and Produce Inspectorate Department, that is responsible for the management of agricultural produce, especially in relation to issues of phytohygiene. We are all aware of the dangers posed by the storage, especially in the years gone by. Carcinogenous chemicals are applied to store beans and other produce which end up consumed during the after storage. In the end, they end up getting into the system of the consumers and inflict harms. A lot of resultant deaths have been recorded in this manner. So I suggest, as part of the agencies that have regulatory responsibilities, the Consumer Produce Inspectorate Department of the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investments should be included in the recommendations to support and to encourage them to be more vigilant in managing issues that have to do with the application of chemicals in not only ripening but storage of produce in warehouses. I so submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, let us look at the recommendations. 1, that the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services, and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and Nigerian Council of Food Science and Technology should increase the level of awareness by continuous sensitization and massive public enlightenment on the hazardous implications of chemical ripening of fruits in Nigeria. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is carried. Recommendation 2, that the Senate through its relevant committees should amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of harmful chemicals as against natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. I think this is where the act that we suspended yesterday comes in. Either amending the relevant criminal acts to insert a provision on this ripening of fruits and make it stiffer so that people will not continue to suffer from chemical poisoning as a result of buying fruits without knowledge of which one has been chemically ripened and which one has been naturally ripened. So I think we should look at that. This is a good recommendation. Those in support of recommendation 2, that the Senate do through its committees amend extant laws to prescribe stiffer punishments for persons found guilty of ripening fruits through the application of harmful chemicals as against the natural ripening of fruits in Nigeria. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3. Existing regulatory agencies should be mandated to undertake food safety and controls by ensuring enforcement through legal and regulatory means. That goes without saying. Those in favor of recommendation 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer? Yes, distinguished Senator Ndubeze.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Ndubeze Patrice. Mr. President, I'm adding to this recommendation that this section be referred to our Committee on Legal Services to bring up amendment on this Criminal Code Section 243245 to take care of this menace. Instant. Thank you, I submit.
Any seconder? Any seconder? No seconder.
They were not listening. I said that we refer to legal services to bring up amendment of this code, Criminal Code Section 243245 to take care of this menace.
What you are saying, before we can take it, must be seconded. But there was no seconder, and you repeated yourself that you said, I heard you, and you know I heard you. Okay, but there was nobody seconding it, and therefore the amendment or additional prayer falls. Let me thank the chairman, Senator Iparibo Harry Banigo, and the members of this committee for doing a wonderful job. And this clearly takes care of yesterday's intended bill on food ripening. And I want to thank you for also reminding us that we had referred this to your committee and that your committee had done a diligent job on it. We intend to ask our Legislative Compliance Committee to follow up on this. And also will be on the neck of all the agencies involved in food and drug safety in the country to ensure that we do not poison our children and our future leaders and future generation of Nigerians with chemicals as a result of intake of chemically ripened fruits in the countries. I thank my distinguished senators for their concern for Nigerians and concern for themselves and their families. And thank you all for your contributions. Well done, Mrs. Banigo. Leader of the Senate, we should go into a closed session.
No.
But before then, move a motion to suspend all other items on the order paper till tomorrow.
No. Your Excellency. Your Excellency, I think if we look at order paper, there is a residual item. The 9th item. May I be permitted to go on to the next order of the day, being the 9th item? Is there?
The only other item here
9th item
would have been the screening of the minister. But I think it's with the security clearance is very important. So we are yet to get that.
So, Your Excellency, I stand to step down the 9th item.
Sorry, the Zoom Senator Osita Ngo said that the security clearance is on the way, that the Postmaster General is on the way.
No, sir. Mr. President, this is an institution.
No.
It is not something, I have nothing against the young man, the gentleman. I know him. But let's respect this institution. We can't wait for a nominee because he's coming with a security letter. No, that is not done. This is an institution. We can take it tomorrow.
Senator Ningi, I don't even have any intention of waiting for anybody. Because after clearing them, you don't see them again. So DSP, I think we should go into our closed session and thereafter we adjourn. So please move a motion to that effect.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion that we dissolve into a closed session for important message from Senate President.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion moved by Senate Leader that Senate dissolve to executive committee for important information from the President of the Senate. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved that we go into closed session for discussion on national issues. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
think that the camera did not it come to my total of this one. Say only 3 cameras. Try respond to that. I say no, the camera cannot catch the whole blind spot and all that. But even at that, it come maybe 4. So even at that, if you want us to and make adjustment and give him a very good job and all that, then you can compare you on time and all that. So your response to that. Then after that one, I'll show you that one from Pacot. And over reply and tell and say, okay, the things. But I will show you the things with the message I sent to you. The bill on the executive session. Huh? The bill on the yes. But you also know that there are different kinds of cameras. There are different kinds of there are different brands. We sent that one already before. Yeah, I know. But probably on this price that they're giving him, that they are of low quality. Yes, exactly. There are cameras that around this price range. Yeah, like the ones that what you recommended was what is very durable. Just type it there, send the message like that. Right, you say, it's like saying my own price being higher than trying to deal with us, but the thing is, we don't go give up. We win a 35,000 camera. We still go to the office of that one waste. And big mention of this that 4 cameras cover 3 cameras cannot cover all the blind spots that he wants in that. That's good 4 that can do the job. If you want something of the next time, you can do less. You don't mind. I recommend something that at least you know that's in no. No. See that right? See. See. You know what they're after you just carry it up. But I didn't apart from microwave. And they want power microwave. Microwave in fact. You know the day. For one now. Now we get down to that kitchen. Now one we go up. Yeah. But that time we like to know the work. They say most of us I want a microwave better. I think everything they won't buy now. But just and I don't know. And about to this thing. Quiet.